Syrian Arab Army units eliminated terrorists in a hideout in the Raqqa countryside near the Syrian-Jordanian borders. The UN Security Council condemns ISIL crimes against civilians in al-Hasaka suburb. Lebanese army maintains control on 2 hills in Ras Ba'albak prairies in the direction of the Lebanese-Syrian borders. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our news for today. The Syrian Arab Army has eliminated a terrorist group in the direction of the Syrian-Jordanian borders. The group was loading ammunition in one of the hideouts in Samish village in the Raqqa southeastern suburb. The Syrian Arab Army also killed a number of terrorists on Nahiyat al-Haraq road, destroying their vehicles in Tal Antar in the Raqqa suburb. The Syrian Arab Army also targeted terrorist gatherings in several villages in Dar al-Qunaytira Damascus countryside triangle, eliminating a number of terrorists. In Damascus suburb, the Syrian Arab Army targeted Jabhat al-Nusra hideouts in al-Qalamun prairies, killing a number of terrorists and destroying their weapons and vehicles. Other armed men were killed in Hamrit. In Homs, Syrian Arab Army units have stormed a terrorist hideout in Mukhayyam al-Aidin, killing a number of terrorists and confiscating their weapons and ammunition. The Syrian Arab Army also destroyed ISIL hideouts in the surrounding of Shire walls in Palmyra suburb, eliminating several terrorists in 3 sites in the Governorate's suburb. In Idlib countryside, moreover, several terrorists were killed in Kafr Jalis, Al-Habit and Hureen. In their resort, the Syrian Arab Army eliminated a number of ISIL members and destroyed their vehicles in Al-Jafra and Al-Mar'iyeh. The UN Security Council condemned last night ISIS crime against civilians in al-Hasaka countryside. In a statement, the Council strongly denounced ISIS kidnapping of more than 100 people on the 23rd of this month northeast of Syria and the destruction and desecration of religious sites. The Council said such crimes indicate how barbaric ISIS is, which has so far committed thousands of crimes and violations against citizens of all religions and nationalities, in total disregard of human values. The Council called for the immediate and unconditional release of all persons kidnapped by ISIL and Jabhat al-Nusra, as well as by other groups, entities and individuals connected with al-Qaeda terrorist organization. The Council called for bringing to account those responsible for such gruesome acts. ISIL terrorists, it is to be noted, had launched a few days ago an armed attack at the inhabitants of the villages of Tal Hermes, Tal Shamiram, Tal Rumman, Tal Nasri, Tamayalda and Al-Hawuz in Al-Hasaka western suburb, kidnapping tens of people and burning Tal Hermes historical church, considered the oldest in Syria. Welcome back. 5 armed men have been killed by the Jordanian army troops when they tried to infiltrate from the Syrian territories into Jordan. A Jordanian military source said the armed men did not respond to warning calls, so they were shot and killed. The Jordanian army had yesterday destroyed a vehicle that tried to infiltrate from Syria and killed the 2 armed men inside it. As part of its effort to combat terrorism, the Lebanese army took full control of 2 hills overlooking the Syrian-Lebanese borders. Meanwhile, the Lebanese army, supported by army helicopters, intercepted a terrorist attack on military positions in Tallat al-Hamra, in Ras Ba'albak, in al-Biqa, and advanced towards Jrash strategic hills, which were under the control of the terrorists. The army increased its military presence after foiling 3 successive attempts on its positions in Ras Ba'albak. Iraqi forces eliminated today dozens of ISIL terrorists during fierce clashes with them north of Samarra in Salah ad-Din province. A security source in the governorate said scores of ISIL terrorists were killed or wounded after the army made progress south of Tikrit. Meanwhile, sources at the Iraqi Defense Ministry said that 2 ISIL leaders were killed during air raids which targeted terrorist gatherings in al-Mosul, north of Iraq. A police source had announced that 1 suicide bomber was killed east of al-Ramadi in al-Anbar province. In the U.S., New York authorities detained 3 individuals who were members of a terrorist cell as they were planning to go to Syria via Turkey to join ISIL terrorist groups. This was the first time in which New York authorities announced the capture of a cell affiliated with terrorist groups. The FBI Director James Comey said the police is conducting an investigation into the dangers of such groups on U.S. interests. Back to our local news, the political and media advisor at the presidency, Dr. Buthaina Sha'ban, has received a group of American activists, friends of the Syrian and Palestinian peoples, headed by Ramsey Clark.
An American delegation comprising activists, friends of the Syrian and Palestinian peoples, have come to the country headed by Ramsey Clark, former American Attorney General, with the major goal of acquainting themselves with the reality of the situation in Syria, to convey it to the American public opinion and to express solidarity with the Syrian people. The American delegation was briefed in detail by the political and media advisor at the presidency, Dr. Buthaina Sha'ban, on the reality of the situation. Dr. Sha'ban conveyed during the meeting President Bashar al-Assad's and the Syrian people's appreciation for the visit. In a message she addressed to the American people at the request of the delegation, Dr. Sha'ban asked, "Who benefits from the war on Syria?" affirming that the assault's target was not the Syrian president or government, but in fact the destruction of Syria and the coexistence in the country.
What I found extremely interesting is that this delegation headed by Ramsey Clark, they know exactly what is the role of American and Western media. And when I told them that the media was right from the beginning against our country, they said, of course, the role of the media is to block the Syrians from making their views heard in the United States. They encouraged us to try and help to make Western people know the truth about what's going on in Syria and about the suffering of the Syrian people. And I hope that this visit is going to be only a first step towards some work in that direction and to achieve that purpose.
On his part, Mr. Clark said the aim of the visit is to create more opportunities for dialogue and coordination between the Syrian and American people, and brief the American people on the truth of what has been happening in Syria.
We spend billions and billions of dollars on ways of killing whole populations. That's a form of madness, isn't it? And we can't let it happen. We have to join hands and say, this cannot happen. We shall overcome.
Member of the delegation, Cynthia McKinney, expressed deep appreciation for the Syrian people's and leadership's heroic stand in their war against American imperialism.
For years, the goal of those who have attacked Syria is to turn Syria into Libya, to turn Syria into Iraq, and it did not happen. It has not happened. And from what I understand, it will not happen because the Syrian people are prepared to defend their country.
It is one more initiative intended to show support for the Syrians in their war on terrorism and to reflect the American people's solidarity with the Syrian people, even though the U.S. administration is the spearhead in the war on Syria.
Israeli extremist settlers set fire into Jabal Sahion church in occupied Jerusalem and wrote racist slogans and anti-Christ comments. Palestinian sources said that settlers belonging to the so-called paying a price gang set fire into one room inside the church usually occupied by clerics and priests, inflicting material damages. This came just one day after settlers burned parts of a mosque in al-Jub'a village southwest of Beit Lahem in the West Bank. The permanent Libyan representative at the UN, Ibrahim Dibashi, said that the decision of appointing Khalifa Haftar as the general commander of the Libyan army was an internal matter and no foreign country had anything to do with it. Al-Dibashi revealed that there were American and British reservations about Haftar's appointment, as these two countries support the Muslim Brotherhood. The Libyan parliament will hold a session next Monday, during which Haftar will be sworn in as a general commander. Finally, amidst a state of anxiety in France regarding reconnaissance drones flying over Paris during the last 2 days, the French authorities detained today 3 reporters working for the Qatari Al Jazeera TV for launching these drones above the capital, Paris. A French police source pointed out that one journalist was guiding the drone in Polonia forest, and the other was taking photographs, and the third was monitoring the whole operation. With this, we conclude our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region, and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Now to latest business and market news with Karun Kürkcan, but after a short break.